Hi everybody, I'm Dwight,
And I'm Jeanette.
and we're like peas and carrots.
Carrots.
Very excited topic to talk about today. I teased it in How We Met video, and it's really how God ended up putting us together. And it was God that put us together, no doubt about it. So in this video, I really want to go into that in detail. What happened? How did God put us together? And what were the secrets of events that took place that caused us to actually start dating after knowing each other for probably about a year in college? What led us to start dating and seeing each other as a couple. Now, from my perspective, you have to go back. I grew up in the church. My mom would take us to church. It was the United Methodist Church. So I grew up going to church. And at the age of 14, I went away to school. I was growing up in New York City. And during that time, it was definitely a rough place to grow up in the Bronx. My mom was both my parents are big on education. And really, I ended up going away to school for high school. Now, high school, it kind of fell away a bit, and then ended up going to college. I was still not really seeking after God during that time. Mm-hmm. And what happened was I was in a relationship. I think Jeanette talked about it last time in that video, How We Met. That relationship ended, and I found myself, and it ended like in the second semester of freshman year. And after it ended, of course, whenever any relationship ends, you go through a period, kind of a tough period, right? Because you were in a relationship, it's over. You think about it, evaluate it, whatever you're gonna do. Mm-hmm. And I was dealing with that. And then also, because I was alone, kind of evaluating things and by myself, in a way, I guess, thinking back, was seeking, maybe going back to God in a sense. And it culminated in one night. There was an event going on campus. It was the Black Student Union had an event going on.
It was a boat ride.
It was a boat ride, mm-hmm. Right. And I did not go. I just wasn't, feeling in the mood.
I went.
Yeah, Jeanette went, but I didn't go.
Did you go because you didn't have a date?
Probably, and I just wasn't in the mood. Like I said, I was going through this period. I got out of this relationship, and in a college campus, the college we went to, it was very small African American Black population of students. Mm-hmm. So
though my date was he was Asian. He was an Asian guy.
Yeah. There you go. So the breakup was public, and that was probably part of it. We had broken. That was probably part of it, and I just wasn't in the mood at the time, like I said. So that night, everyone was out on this boat ride having a good time. I was just in my dorm room, and just lying there. I remember all alone.
Were you sad?
Yeah, I guess I was sad.
Because your ex was at the boat ride.
Yeah, she was at the boat ride, but so while I'm lying there, I guess sensed that there was like a battle going on over me.
What do you mean?
It was almost like there was a war going on over me. I kind of discerned that after a while.
You mean a spiritual kind of thing?
Kind of like a spirit. Yeah, it was a spiritual. A lot of what I'm going to describe, I do have it was so long ago. I wish I wrote down what happened. As you get older, your memory kind of goes foggy.
Goodness.
That's what happens. But I did sense that there was something going on over me. Now, I'm not going to tell you I heard a voice. Some people have said that in their salvation experience. I don't remember if I heard a voice, but I was able to discern, so some way, that there was a battle going on over me, and I had to make a decision. That was the key point. I had to make a decision. Where was I going to go? And part of that decision was, if I decided to go with God, then I would be blessed. There would be blessings in my life. So I made that decision. I guess you could say it wasn't anything I said, but I guess inside of me I made that decision. And I don't remember, I guess at some point I probably went to sleep. Then the next morning I got up and I went to the chapel. Now, this is where I don't know why I went to the chapel. Was it because I was raised in the church? And so I knew that that was a place to go for refuge when, you have trouble or things going on. Like I said, I wish I wrote the whole experience down. I did not. But I went to the chapel. And I don't remember what time it was. But when I went in, we had a pastor at the time. The pastor actually married us and really was. We mentioned him before. He and his wife have since passed away, unfortunately. Yeah. He was a really big influence in our lives. But he was there, and I don't even remember what I said, but I know I had the experience just breaking down. And
you didn't tell him what happened?
I just think I don't remember, and I don't even think he said much. He just probably sensed that something was going on with me. So that was kind of my experience, and so that happened, right? Am I going to tell you that I was a Christian overnight? No, I mean, I'm not going to say that. But it did change me. And after that experience, I saw Jeanette a couple of times. She was working. We had a pizza place in campus, Student Union Building. And she was working there. And she was actually working, because she was working there, she'd also work in the cafeteria, right? We work in the cafeteria, and I saw her there, and it was almost like, because I was walking with God now, I started to look at her a bit differently. There was something different.
I could tell.
Yeah, well,
the things you said to me.
Yeah, the things
like,
I said, that was a bit.
Where's this coming from?
Yeah, and that was the weird thing. I was, before Jeanette, I guess I was dealing with, self-esteem issues a lot in high school. So I would never approach girls. It wasn't my thing. But Jeanette was kind of the first one I really approached.
It probably helped because we were friends too.
Yeah, and I may have meant it out of, saying things jokingly. But I started to see her differently, and this all happened towards the end of the semester. Now, I don't remember why I didn't leave right away, because my classes were done. I know why Jeanette was hanging around, because I'll let her say.
Why was I hanging around? I was getting a ride. I was going somewhere to a Christian camp. Right.
Yeah, she was going to a Christian camp. So then we started hanging out, and I remember my messy room. I was a real mess back then. Clothes everywhere on the floor. It was bad. But I remember us just talking, and before all this, I kind of said to myself, you know what, I'm just gonna forget about relationships, and I didn't see God at all to get a relationship or anything like that. It just happened at that time. But I remember us talking and kind of spending time. And when you do that with a person, you kind of see their heart, they see your heart. And that's when, I guess, the spark started flying, you could put it that way, where we started dating. So, I've read a lot of different articles. Should you wait on God to get, to find that person? Is that outdated? Is that old-fashioned? But I can say from my experience, if I didn't make that decision, I don't think we would have been together. And it's been almost 30 years since we've been married.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say that it was God who had to work on me to get me ready to be in a relationship with Jeanette.
That's right, because I'm his daughter.
There you go. He didn't want a mess to be with his daughter.
That's
he wanted
right.
somebody who was
girl.
not saying totally whole, but working on getting whole, working on learning how to forgive, how to love, how to do all those things. And and after that we dated, of course, together, and Jeanette was actually instrumental in helping me to grow in my faith. She was always there to support me, and we had different fellowships like Friday nights, and we would we would go into the Word and Scriptures, and he was like really teaching us, growing us in our faith. So, and in hindsight, really, it's important. It was very important that I did accept Jesus, really, because you can't. It's almost, I don't know how you could be married for a long time without having that faith. Life brings a lot of curveballs.
Yeah.
A lot of tough situations that come up in life, and if you don't have that faith, how do you as a couple, how do you pray together? How do you
don't,
because some things are just higher than what you can deal with, right? And you need that higher power. And you need to learn how to forgive, right? And move on, and learn to do that, and learn to love, and learn to be kind, and all those things that come after you experience God, and God has done that for you. You can do that for someone else. So I would definitely encourage you to focus on God. Now, am I going to say you focus on God and that person will drop from the sky, and your soulmate will drop from the sky? I'm not God. I don't know. You may never get married. Let's just be real. But I would say it's important to do that so that you can go into a relationship whole, and let God heal those areas where you need healing, where you need God to touch and transform and renew. And so if someone get connected to the right person, you go in there with less baggage and challenges that you bring to the relationship.
Well said.
So when all this was happening, how was your spiritual walk, Jeanette, when we started dating before that time?
Well, I had a really good relationship with God. When I got to college, I actually started reading my Bible for the first time, even though I was raised in the church, kind of like Dwight. It was kind of like a Methodist church on the island of Antigua, and lived in New York for a while. When we went to college, that really was the first time I actually read my Bible from the beginning to the end, and my eyes were just opened. I was just in love with the NIV because the language is so plain, and I was just reading and in Bible studies, and in small groups, and campus ministry, and I was just growing by leaps and bounds. I was just in love with Jesus. I would say, I'm in love with Jesus and he's in love with me. I was in love with Jesus, and I was just loving the Word and all the things I was discovering. When I was at one time even afraid to read the Bible because I thought it was this big scary book. But once I started reading and getting to know that God is a loving God, it took that fear away. So at the time we met, he brought us together. I was in a strong relationship with God. I was dating a few people, not him. We were just friends. I was dating a few people, just getting to know people. Nothing serious, just going out to eat and stuff. And I wasn't in any serious relationship, though. Before that, I was in a long distance relationship. It was like a 5-year long distance relationship, and we hadn't seen each other in 5 years. So that broke it off, and I was just enjoying living the single life, just having a good old time. I had no obligations to anyone but myself, and just being available to God. So I was Bible study. I was like a small group leader in some of the campus ministries. I was a Bible study. Sometimes I taught Bible study. I was like a worship leader on Sundays. We had Sunday worship in the afternoon, so I would help lead worship, like with the praise and worship and everything, and it was a lot of fun. So when God brought us together, I was in a good place. I really was not looking for a relationship. I figured, if God wanted me to have a relationship, I'd have one. sure, that was a desire deep down, but it's not, I wasn't actively seeking a relationship. I wasn't thirsty, as they say nowadays, you know. I wasn't thirsty for it because I was just so in love with Jesus, just doing my thing. And then one day, as at the end of the school year, I hear this knock at my dorm door. I look out the peephole and I see, it's Dwight.
It's me.
Like, what a surprise. I don't think he's ever visited me there before. Yeah, but some odd reason he came to see me, and he was packing up to leave and cleaning his room, and we decided to hang out. I just followed him everywhere. You know, I was so happy to have a visitor.
Yeah, I didn't quite mention that part. So, yeah, I just started, I hadn't seen Jeanette in a long time on campus, so she came to my mind, and I went to her dorm to visit her, and that's what she's referring to. So, like I said, something was happening. God was drawing, God was putting us together.
Yeah.
Since I was ready for it, versus a year before, I was in the world. I was not ready.
Yeah.
I was not ready for this kind of relationship.
Yeah. Almost everybody had left and went home for the summer or wherever they were going for the summer. And like you said, I was waiting for a ride. I was packed and ready to go, and he was still packing up. And so we just hung out, went to across into another neighborhood that was right across the bridge from the campus. We were looking for boxes to help him pack his stuff. We were asking the stores, do you have any empty boxes, do you have any crates that you don't want to use? So we were just hanging out and having a good time and talking, like he said, and just getting to know one another. What we like and what we dislike and what we want. Somehow the topic of relationships came up. What we both want in a relationship. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
So long.
I don't know. So, but we both weren't in a relationship, and I guess the topic came up, and it was interesting how we both said we wanted the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were just copying me or.
No, it just we were talking and it just we realized that we wanted to. We were on the same page of what we wanted.
Yeah, so it was almost kind of eerie and almost kind of electric at the same time, and it was like, whoa, that's awesome. And so from then on, we just we didn't even say, do you want to go out or anything. It wasn't like, hey, you want to be my girlfriend, you want to go, nothing. We just like clicked.
Right.
And from then on, we've been to like peas and carrots. We've been together.
Exactly.
And so that's how God brought us together. But there was a growth period that had to happen as far as bringing us together, becoming equally yoked, because in some ways, even though he had come over to Christ and I was more deeper in Christ, there's some growth period, because there were some Sundays, because I went to church in the community church that our chaplain, he pastored, so we would go to his church. We would go to chapel service, and we'd also go to his church in the neighborhood that's right near to our campus. So I would go to Wake Up Dwight and say, hey, I'm going to church. Sometimes he would come, but there was this one Sunday I went to wake him up and knock on his dorm door, and he was like, no, I'm not coming today. So I walked away, and I was like, okay, fine. So I left, and I was walking to church, because you could walk across the bridge to go into the next community to go to church. I said, I said to God, I was like, God, I'm done. I'm tired of bringing him, because you don't want to be the kind of woman to be dragging your man to church every Sunday.
Absolutely.
I didn't want that kind of life. I was like, God, I'm ready to give him up. If you don't bring him, I don't know who will, because I'm done. I give him up to you. And I went my merry way to church, praising and worshiping God in the service. The service was on fire. People were like screaming and hollering and dancing in the spirit. And then look who walks into the service. Dwight.
So that was a turning point in our relationship, because I was growing closer to God, but at the same time, Jeanette was helping me in my discipleship experience, getting learning and growing, but I still wasn't at that point. Like I said, I wasn't an overnight Christian. It's still a process, and I had to get to the point. Foot in the world. I had to get to a point where I was going to God for myself, right, and not for her, not for anyone. Going to God, following God for myself, and that was a turning point. You know, she came. I wasn't ready for the church. She got frustrated, left, and she said, "Okay, this may be
That's it. I was
she
about
was
to
willing
end it.
to end it at that point.
I didn't
and,
want to be dragging you.
and then I had to really think about it and say, you know what, I just need to go. So I went, and really had a great experience in the Lord in that church, and that was really a turning point. So you know, it's just you have to, first of all, my encouragement for anyone watching this video would be, seek God, really seek God in your life, and not to get a relationship, not to get anything, just seek God.
Yeah.
And let what God has for you will come to you. Like I said, we had no idea.
No, we weren't looking for each other.
Yeah, I mean, people would joke sometimes, why don't you, and we'd be laughing, like, why don't you two get together?
That idea
and
was
we'd be
quickly dismissed.
Yeah, we'd be
like,
laughing at each other. No way, because you know, we just didn't see it. And like I said, she was right there under my nose this whole time. And now we've been married almost 30 years. So
yes,
I can definitely say, trust God, seek God.
Well, you know, there's even a scripture that says, seek ye first the kingdom of God,
yes,
and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you.
Right.
You know, acknowledge him in all your ways, and he will direct your path.
Right. So maybe you've been in relationships, you've tried this and that. Why not try God? Try Jesus. Why not? And like I said, don't try it to get something. Try to draw closer, to get peace in your life, to help you to deal with your situations, your challenges in life, to give you a sense of just love and joy and all that God gives to you. And who knows? I mean, that person may be someone you know. You just, like I said, in our situation, we didn't see it. We would laugh about it.
Yeah.
A couple people suggested, you know, we're like, huh?
Yeah, but you have to have the right heart. You
Right.
have to have the right heart, because God is a jealous God. And God, if you show God love, if you show God genuine and true love, God will reward you in some way, shape, or form. That's just like, you have a good friend, right? You have a good friend, and your friend shows you that kindness. You know, you will try to reciprocate it in some kind of way, and that's how God is. It may not be a relationship, but you will know that God has blessed you for being genuine, for being true with him.
All right. So seek God, trust God, and know that God has a plan for your life.
Amen.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
See you in the next video.